Somebody called me. Yeah, I think it was Ed. Or no, my agent. I've had an agent for 20, 30 years. I got the agent in 75 when I started to do more than one show, and I got Jay Sanders' agent because I felt that Jay would get every pilot in the world, and what he turned down, I could get.
And what is his name?
Bob Broder.
And you're still with him now?
Still with him. He's my agent. He's a genius agent and a dear friend. And so Broder got a call and said, he's sometimes referred to as Darth Broder. That's how powerful he is. They wanted me to do Taxi. And I believe in my heart of hearts I probably wasn't the first choice. Because I wasn't then an established. There were wonderful. Jay was, great. John Rich was great. Paul Bogart, who had done a number of All in the Family, is a wonderful director. And so I got the call, and I said yes immediately because they sent me the script. The script was a great script. Incredibly overwritten, but the characters were just fabulous. I liked the relationship in the first show between Alex and his daughter because you really didn't know what the other characters were. But the heart that Alex and this poor guy who's trying to meet his daughter in Miami, and I knew it was Judd Hirsch, and I knew how good the writers were, too. So I knew that what didn't work would get better. I had Jim Brooks and Ed Weinberger and Dave Davis and Stan Daniels for the top-notch writers ever to write comedy. So I said yes, and then we went through a casting process. And, Louis De Palma originally was a small role. How ironic, it was played by a small actor, right? No, but it was a small role until Danny took a hold of that and then took it to the next level. And it became a powerful role.
Were you there when he read for the part?
No, I was not there. I don't know where I was, but I'm sure if you've had other people here from Taxi, they'll tell you that Danny came in for the audition, threw the script on the table, and said, "Who wrote this shit?" I shot 2 nights of footage for the opening sequence, interviewing the cast out in front of places that looked like New York City and L.A., talking about what it was like to be a cab driver. And they ended out with that temp piece of film of a cab going across the bridge that they shot one day in New York. And if you look at it, there's jump cuts in it to make it last the entire time. When a title comes on, they jump cut. So, I don't know where the theme song came. Somebody knew about Bob James. They stepped in, they made a silk purse out of a sow's ear. They said, "Oh my God," that happens sometimes. You never know. We had the same thing on Cheers. We had a couple of ideas, and then somebody ran with it and changed it this way, and you said, "Oh my God, that was never our idea," but they embellished it, and so you never know. Strange things happen. Well, it's probably the hardest show I've ever done. It's number one, the biggest set, bigger than Cheers. Number 2, 7 characters without a bar to tether them. It was a lot easier on Cheers because you could sit at a bar and be permanent. I created that table and chairs because I had to anchor my actors somewhere. And then, some of the most high-powered writers in television who had opinions, and some of the most, the cast was an incredibly diverse cast. You had, Tony, who had really never acted before. You had Judd, who was an incredibly accomplished actor. You had Andy Kaufman, who came from left field. And so you had this incredibly divergent styles, and it was just everything I could do to make that show go, to give it a cohesion, because that was my job. And I had a good time working with the actors, and we would put in pieces of business, and when they didn't work, the writers would glare at me, and I would say, "Hey, sometimes I got to fail in order to succeed." And then when a bit worked, they loved it. So, those are just, they were so, those writers never let you down on that show. They were always.
That table and chairs that you mentioned, was that added in the very first show? Or,
Uh-huh.
so you knew immediately?
You had to have, yeah, I needed some place. I knew from the research that they had these places, but you see that I put a bench downstage, because then you could have a person sit on a bench this way, and so at least you could see one eye in the camera rather than a chair which forced you to sit the other way. And I started with 4 cameras on that show because the set was so immense. In the second episode, they wanted to save money, so they said, let's try it with 3 cameras. So we did that show with 3 cameras, and they got it in the editing room. They looked at it and said, next week 4 cameras. It's 4 cameras, you get a little better angles and stuff like that. And I had a great time on that show. I really worked hard.